Hello, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. It's a doily. And I've done, some smaller motifs and so forth. This one is nice and big. And I thought it would make a lovely centerpiece. Now, typically with doilies, yes, you can use crochet cotton thread. It's a mercerized cotton and the little itty-bitty steel hooks, which of course would make this piece considerably smaller, naturally. However, you know me, I like to go big or go home. So I used, it was Red Heart Super Saver and a size I crochet hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter hook. You can use really whatever works for you, by all means. The only thing that I would suggest is to use a solid color because, let's pan up here a little, because this is really, it's a gorgeous pattern. Now, I think that if you were to use a variegated thread or a color change thread, that it would really take away from the design that you're creating. That's just me and my personal opinion. And especially if it is a variegated yarn with a short colorway change, I think it would be too busy. That's just my personal preference. Little suggestion from my own opinion. Take it for what you will. So at any rate, going to use again the same size hook, a size I, and some Red Heart Super Saver in a brown color for this tutorial. So without further ado, let's get started. And one more thing before we do, this picture pattern that I had found, it was strictly in a schematic form that I found in, it was on Pinterest. So no, I do not have a written pattern, but, we do what we can, right? So I'm going to be as thorough as I can. And okay, now let's get started. All right. Alrighty, round one. Okay, so to start with, we are going to begin with our obligatory slip knot. Nothing new there. And start with 7 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, like so many of these patterns, going to slip knot into the first chain that we created to form a ring. Now, of course, if there is another method that you choose to use, like the magic ring, you can do that if you want to. I'm just going with what the pattern said. All right, so we have our ring, and we're going to start with a chaining up of 3 and 3 for our first double crochet, and we need 23 more double crochets for a total of 24 for this first round. Now, that seems like a lot, but you know what? It actually works, and you can always scooch your double crochets so that they fit easier. It's really not a problem. You can, of course, adjust the number of initial chains if it is, but I didn't have any issue. So that's really not a problem. As far as what you can do with this piece, yes, you can use it as, a typical doily, a centerpiece, really what have you. Also, you could probably make a bunch of these and join them for a coverlet, a very light and lacy blanket. There are possibilities by all means. And so I have no idea how many I've gotten so far, but you know me, I always double count, especially at the beginning of the piece. But I figure, just keep going until I really can't go any further, and then go from there. All right, so let's see how many we got. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, I just need 4 more. See, you could just sort of scooch that. Also, as I'm crocheting, I am crocheting these double crochets over my tail. I'm capturing my tail underneath the double crochets. That does help because it's one less thing to worry about. And 2 more, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, now we'll just do a quick check. So, let's do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24, because don't forget, this chaining up of 3 counts as your first double crochet, and we're going to do a slip stitch into the top of that first chaining up of 3. Very similar to a lot of other projects that we've done together. All right, and that is round 1. Now, of course, what you can do after you've completed your project or, gone a couple rounds in, you can always take this tail and continue to work it underneath these stitches, cinch it nice and tightly, and you'll have the same sort of closed center that I have here. No problem whatsoever. All right, so let's get on to round 2, shall we? All right, round 2. All right, so for round 2, we are again going to start with a chaining up of 3 for our first double crochet, then into the same stitch right here, right in there, going to do 2 more double crochets for a total of 3, and there's a helicopter flying right overhead. They found me. I can't hide anymore. Oh, they're close. All right, so I have my total of 3 double crochets into that 1 double crochet right there. Then chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then skipping 2 double crochets going into that 3rd double crochet with 3 more double crochets. All right, so we've got 3 doubles, chaining of 3, 3 doubles, 2 skipped in between, and that is how this round is going to continue. So chain 3, skipping 2 doubles, going into the 3rd with 3 doubles, okay, chain 3, skipping 2 doubles, going into the 3rd with 3 more doubles. The other reason why I am using yarn as opposed to the thread is because this is a lot easier to work with, and it's also a lot easier to actually see what it is that I'm doing for you. So yeah, typically when doing doilies and that sort of thing, you would use the cotton thread. However, I find that, I want to be clear. I want you to be actually able to see what it is that I'm doing. So that's why I'm also using yarn. All right, and so we just have a couple more of these to go, no problem. It's just chaining of 3, skipping 2 doubles, going into the 3rd with 3 doubles. Nice and easy. Okay, skipping 2, going into the 3rd. And almost there. 1, 2, 3. Skipping 2, going into that third one right there. Alrighty. And then, lo and behold, chain 3, and we need to bridge the gap. So, going to go into the top of this first chaining up of 3 with a slip stitch. Ta-da! Easy peasy. All right, so that's round 2. Alrighty, round 3. So for round 3, all right, so we had our slip stitch into this one here. Now we're going to do another slip stitch into this middle double crochet right here. We need just to scooch over just a little bit, you know. So now I'm going to start by chaining up 3. 1, 2, 3. And a double crochet into this next double crochet. All right, so we've got 2. Then 2 double crochets into this chain space right here. So we now have a total of 4 double crochets. Okay. Chain 3. And then very similarly to what we did in the last round, we're going to now skip this first double crochet going into the second, the middle one, with a double crochet, and double crochet into the next double crochet, and then again 2 more double crochets into the chain 3 space. And we're going to do that for each of these clusters. Okay, so chain 3, skip a double going into the second with a double, double into the next, and then 2 doubles into the chain space. Chain 3, skip a double, double into the next, double into the next, and 2 doubles into the chain space. Okay, chain 3, skip a double, going into the next double with the double, and then 2 doubles into the chain space, chain 3, skip a double, double into the next, two doubles into the chain space, chain 3, skip a double going into the next one, that middle one, double into the next, two doubles into the chain space, chain 3, skip the double going into the next, double into the next stitch, and then 2 doubles into the chain space. Ta-da! And we have reached the beginning once again. So we need to chain 3 to bridge the gap, and then going to do a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the bottom, that top little bit right there, going to slip stitch. All right, it's really that easy. So you can see that it's starting to shift and grow over. All right. All right, so that's the end of round 3. Be right back. Alrighty, round 4. Again, pretty similar to what we did in the last round. Going to slip stitch into this next double crochet right here. Okay, then chaining up 3 and continuing on. Now we had on the last round, we had 4 double crochets. Now we need a total of 5. So we have 1, our chain 3 counts as 1. So double crochet into the next double crochet and into the next. And then into the chain space 2 double crochets. Like so. Then, slightly different, we need more chains. So, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, skipping this first double crochet, going into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th with double crochets. So skipping that first one, going to the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th from the previous row. Then 2 more double crochets into the chain space. Like so. So it's all about 5 double crochets separated by a chain 5 space, and you're just skipping that first double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first, going into the next 3, and then adding 2 more for a total of 5. Like so. Chain 5. Skip the first, going into the next. That's 1, 2, thought it was going to be sneaky on me, did it? All right, so that's 3, and then 2 more in the chain space. 4 and 5. Chain 5. Skip the first, going into the next. Okay, so that's, well, this will be 3. And then 2 more into the chain space for the total of 5. Chain 5. Skip the first, going into the next. Two more. and then 2 into the chain space. Ta-da! Okay, and we're almost there. We're getting there. Chain 5. Skip the first, going into the second. The third and the fourth. So we've got 3, and then 2 more double crochets into the chain space. Chain 5. And then skipping the first, going into the second. That's 2. Uh-oh. I got me a knot. There we go. All right, so I've got 2 and 3, and then 2 into the chain space, 4 and 5, and then we need to bridge the gap once again. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then slip stitch into the top third chain of our first double crochet, figuratively speaking, and shaboom. All right, so it's becoming a bit more pronounced now with the swirl and the increase. All right, so that is round 4. Alrighty, round 5. So again, to begin our round, going to start by doing a slip stitch into this next double crochet stitch. So we're just scooting one over, and then chaining up 3 for our first double crochet. Nothing new there. And then 2 more double crochets. So one into this next one right here. And one into the next, but we're going to leave off on this last one right here. All right, we're going to leave that one alone for now. All right, then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into our chain 5 space, 3 double crochets. All right, so that's 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and skipping the first double, going into the next double crochet, and 2 more for a total of 3. So we're leaving off the first and the last. All right, then, excuse me, chaining of 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 double crochets into this chain 5 space. So this is a little bit different, but the format is essentially the same, but it's just a little bit different. So basically what it really amounts to is when we're crocheting within our 5 double crochets, we're leaving off the first and the last, just like we did right here. So it's 3 in the middle of the 5. As far as the chains, it is a chaining of 3, then a chaining of 5, then a chaining of 3, and next I'm going to be doing a chaining of 5 again. So, I mean, yeah, it seems a little bit weird, but the spacing does, in the grand scheme of things, make sense, believe it or not. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so again, skipping the first double and then doing a double crochet into each of the next 3, leaving off the last one. All right, so we've got our 3 double crochets, first and last left alone, then chaining of 3, and then 3 double crochets into the chain space. And so that's 2 and 3. And oddly enough, even though the 4th of July was a few days ago, apparently some people had some leftover fireworks and I can hear them in the distance. I don't know if you can, but I certainly can. All right, so I did my chaining of 3, so now I need a chaining of 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then skipping the first double and then going to the next one with a double. There we go. And 2 more for a total of 3 doubles. Okay, chain 3. And then into the chain space, 3 double crochets. There we go. Excuse me. And then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first double, going into the next 3 double crochets with double crochets. There we go. Chain 3. And then into the chain space, 3 double crochets. Got to pull out some more yarn here. Okay. There we go. And then chaining of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the first, going into the next 3 stitches with double crochets. There we are. Chain 3. And then going into the chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 5. Skip the first double, going into the next 3 doubles with double crochets. Okay. Chain 3. 3 double crochets into the chain space. Chain 5. Skip the first double, going into the next 3 doubles with double crochets. Chain 3. And we're almost there. So into the chain space once again, 3 double crochets, and then chain 5, 1, oops, and 2, 3, 4, 5, then into the top 3rd chain, do a slip stitch right in there. Like so. All right, now I know it looks a little bit weird, but but it will make sense as we go on. And let me just do a quick pan so that we can review. Basically what it amounts to is, let me just put that so it's up top there. So again, it's alternating between chain 3s and chain 5s and going within the 5 with 3 and then 3 in each space, and just doing that all the way around. And it's really not that bad. Just pay attention to where you're at, you know? And of course you can always pause, rewind, replay, no problem, you know? And as always, I always put the timestamps in the description box so that it's a lot easier for you guys, because I understand. Okay, so we are going to continue on with round 6. Oh yes, we are. Alrighty, round 6. So round 6 actually is quite similar to round 5 in the way that it's divided up. So we're going to start by slip stitching into the next stitch as per usual, and then chaining up of 3 as per usual. No big surprises here. Then double crochet into the next double crochet, and 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space for a total of 4 double crochets. Okay, and we're going to be alternating again our chain count in between our clusters, so to speak. So to begin with, we're going to chain 3, and then very similarly skipping the first double crochet, going into the next 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then 2 more double crochets into the chain space. All right, now like I said, we're going to be alternating our chain counts. So here we had a chaining of 3, now we have to go back to a chaining of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then second verse, same as the first. Going to skip that first double crochet, going to the next with a double, and double into the next double, and then 2 more doubles into the chain space. Okay, so we had 5 here, so we have to do 3 again. So 1, 2, 3, skip the first double, going to the next, and the next, and 2 more double crochets into the chain space. Okay, and so we have to go back to 5 chains. See, it just keeps going back and forth. So 3, 5, 3, and we need 5 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But as far as how we're stitching our double crochets, that's the same regardless. It's just the alternation of the chains in between. That's the only real difference. So it's not really, you know, drastic. So skipping this first double, going to the next with, yep, you guessed it, another double crochet. Double crochet into the next, and 2 double crochets into the chain space. Okay. Then, because that was a chaining of 5 right there, chain 3. And skip the first, going into the next. Another double. And 2 more in the chain space. Like so. Okay, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then skip the first, going into the next. There we go. And another double. And I have another knot. Yay! Nothing major. All right, I can really hear fireworks going off in the distance now. They just love to blow stuff up, I suppose. I don't know. Okay, so I did my 2 doubles, and I need 2 more in the chain space. Okay, and then back to 3 chains, because I have my 5 right here, so 3 chains. Okay, skip the first, going into the next. Another one, and then 2 in the chain space. Like so. Okay, chain 5. Skip the first, going into the next. And the next. And then 2 into the chain space. Okay, chain 3. Skip the first, going into the next. And the next. And 2 in the chain space. Chain 5. Okay. We're getting there. We most certainly are. All right. Skip the first, going into the next. Come on. And the next. And then 2 more in the chain space. Okay. And that would be chain 3. Let me just do a quick recap. Yep, see, we have 3, then we've got 5, then 3, then 5, as far as the chains go. So I need chaining of 3. Excuse me. So skip the first double, going into the next. And the one after that. And then 2 into the chain space. Yes, yes. All right. Chain 5. Skip the first, going into the next. And 1 into the next. And then 2 into the chain space. Okay, chain 3. Skip the first, going into the next. And then 1 into the next. And then 2 into the chain space. See, it's really not that hard. You know, once you get into the rhythm of it, it's not that bad. So, chain 5. Okay, skip the first, going into the next. And the next. There we go. And then 2 into the chain space. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, then chaining of, what was it, 3, is it? Yes, up to 3, because I got my 3 here and I got my 5 here. So, chaining of 3. Okay, skip the first, going into the next. And the next one. Hello, come on. Work with me here. Okay, then 2 more into the chain space. And we're almost done with this round. Booyah. Okay, so we've got our 4 here. Then, last but not least, it is a chaining of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to bridge the gap. And we need to slip stitch into, again, the 3rd chain from the bottom, like so. We're just going to slip stitch and connect. Ta-da! All right. So let me just lay this out for you. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, so as you can see, it's starting to sort of separate into its sort of pinwheel effect rather nicely. And yes, I know that it looks a little bit weird at the moment with the way that, we have bigger chains and smaller chains, but it does even out in the end. By all means, don't worry about that. So we've got a pretty good start going on here, but it's going to be, until part 2, because I am going to continue this tutorial in a second part. And I hope you're enjoying this, as always, whether you're making it with yarn or crochet cotton or what have you. Another really cool idea, I think, would be perhaps if you were to use something like maybe jute, or twine or raffia or something like that to, perhaps make, something else for the tabletop. Just throwing out ideas, it could be interesting. Okay, so listen, if you are enjoying this, please hit that little thumbs up button down below, because your support means ever so much to me, as always. And also, I love hearing your comments, very, very much so. So if you want to say hello or, what have you, please do so in the comments section. Also, if you want to see more, and of course, if you want to stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial, please hit subscribe. So until next time, my dears, I hope you all stay inspired, caffeinated, and stay stitching. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.